Hi, this is Steve Stine. I'm going to teach you how to play You Shook Me All Night Long by AC/DC. I had a request for it. And please remember, if you have any requests for me, please click on the link below, and I'd be happy to get to them as soon as possible. So let's get started. Here's the intro to the song. Break this down into pieces just like we always do. I'm going to show you all the parts for the verse, rhythm part, excuse me, and then we're going to go back and I'm going to show you all the parts for the solo. So the intro, what you're going to do is you're going to head up to the 7th fret of the 3rd string with your first finger. You're going to head to the 8th fret of the 2nd string with your middle finger, and you're going to strum strings 4, 3, and 2 at the same time. Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your pinky and you're going to place it on the 2nd string on the 10th fret. And then you're going to strum all 3 of those strings again. So you have... And then what you're going to do is you're going to go back, you're going to put that 8 back down, you're going to strum that 2 more times, and then you've got this little picking pattern here. And what's happening right there is you're plucking the 7th fret of the 3rd string with your first finger. You're plucking the 8th fret of the 2nd string with your middle finger, just like you did before. But then you're going to go to the 7th fret of the 2nd string by barring over it. And then back to the 3rd string, 7th fret, and then open 4th string. Okay, so it looks like this. Here's your first chord, then... Okay, and then you're going to go... Okay, so let me play that again for you. Then you're going to head down to a D chord. Strum the D chord. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the middle finger off because we're going to be doing a blues riff with that. So we're going to head up to the 4th string 3rd fret. We're going to pluck that note. Maybe give it a little blues bend. If you know what a blues bend is, you're just going to twist that string just a little bit. And then you're going to strum the D chord again. Now you'll notice at this point I can't use the 1st string because my middle finger is up in the air. And that's okay. I don't need that right now anyway. So I've got... Okay, and when you hit that D, you don't have to have your middle finger down. As long as you don't strum the 1st string, you're fine. And then... Okay, then you've got this lick. Okay, another bluesy kind of lick. So what I'm doing there is taking my middle finger, going back to the 4th string 3rd fret. I'm going to do a hammer-on to the 4th fret. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the 3rd string 2nd fret with my first finger, who's sitting right there off the D chord. And then back to the middle finger. And then open on that 4th string. Now that open 4th string is going to give us an opportunity to get back to the beginning again because we need to do that part again. So again, break this down nice and slow. Here's the beginning. Strum those, and then I put my pinky down, and then I go back to the 7/8 here, strum it twice, then I do my picking part. Head down to the D. Whether or not you use this finger is fine. You're going to need to take it off though at this point and do... Okay, so you're playing that 4th string 3rd fret. If you can do a little blues bend, you just twist it a little bit right before you leave, and then you strum your D chord. Then you do this lick. And notice I gave it a little blues bend again. Okay. Then we head back up to the intro again. Okay. And that's how the intro goes. So again, please remember, in all these videos, I want to get to everything as quickly as possible so you can learn how to play them. If you watch something and it doesn't make sense to you, you can always go back, you can rewind the video and watch that section over. I'll always teach these songs in segments or in blocks. So if you've ever seen any of my other instructional videos, you'll understand that. So I'm not going to spend 10 minutes just doing the intro. I want you to see how it's done, see what fingers I'm using, see what strings I'm picking, and then go back and work it over and over and over, and then move on to the next part. So one more time really quick through the intro, watching my picking hand here. I'm strumming these 3 strings, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, okay? And then here I'm going to the 10th fret with my pinky. And then I'm going back to the 8 for 2. And then I've got my little picking pattern. 7, 8, 7, 7, 0. And then that leads me down. That 0 gives me a chance to get down to this D. And then I take my middle finger. And then I do my next lick with my hammer on. Okay, so here's the whole thing up to speed here. Then we start our verse, and our verse is going to use G, C, and D. Now, in this particular case, I'm going to be using an open G chord, 4-finger G chord, going to a C add 9, which is done by taking these 2 fingers and simply going down 1 string, just like that. Okay? If you'd rather go to C, the full C, that's perfectly fine. I've seen people use power chords with these, which would be G, C, and D. Okay, there's a lot of different ways that you can play this song to make it sound like the song. And again, my recommendation to you all the time is play it the way that's most comfortable for you. Okay, so when I say G, you're either going to play a 4-finger G or a 3-finger G or a G power chord. Okay, but I'm going to use the 4-finger G. And then when I say C, I'm moving down to a C add 9 by dropping these fingers. Okay, but if you'd rather use this open chord C like this, that's fine, or a C power chord, that's fine. And then D, of course, is going to be D. All right, and again, if you want to play it as a D power chord up here, you sure can. So let me show you what this part sounds like. It goes like this. So as usual, the most important thing when you're learning how to play songs is to listen to the song a lot. Get a feel for the rhythm, get a feel for the changes, okay? This song is quite easy this way, except you have to know how many times to strum and when to move, of course, which is kind of the essence of any song, right? So I've got my G here. I'm going to move from my G to my C. I'm going to strum my G 1 time, then my C twice, then back to G, back to C, back to G again, and then D. That's the first segment, so it looks like this. And then the second segment goes G, D, G, D, like this. And you'll notice I strummed the G twice to begin with. Okay? So there's one spot in the first part where you strum C twice, and there's one spot in the second part where you strum G twice. And then, okay, now AC/DC, Angus Young, is definitely a guy that will use these open chords quite frequently, actually, in a lot of the songs that he plays. So, like I said, if it feels uncomfortable for you and you'd rather play it as a power chord, you could do this. And that would work just fine. I don't think it sounds quite as authentic as the song because it's just, again, it's got that power chord sound to it, but it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It's perfectly fine. So anyway, that's that section. Now what happens is we come from that part into the pre-chorus. Well, the walls was shaken, the earth was quaking, blah, blah, blah. What's happening there is you're coming off this G chord like the beginning here. Okay, so he starts strumming more in that section, but it's still the same premise. Okay, now watch what I did there. I went G, then C twice, G, D, then G, D, G, D. Okay, so I'm going to let all that ring out, and while that's happening, the bass is just thumping a D while we're making all those changes. So this is the part right before the chorus. We're going G, okay, now again, if you were to strum, and put little pauses in, it's fine. If you just kind of strum through the whole thing, again, it's fine. One of the things I try and teach to students all the time is you have to think more about the feel of the song than whether or not you're strumming 3 times or 4 times or 7 times. Think about how to sell the song. Think about how to play it so it sounds like the song. When you play it, it sounds like what you're listening to. Okay, a lot of times when I play, when I'm strumming, sometimes I strum a little of this and sometimes I strum a little bit of that. And I know it's kind of a gray area, but that's what learning how to play an instrument is all about. There's the black and white things, which are, how to play a D chord or how to play a G chord or that sort of thing. But when it comes to rhythm, a lot of times, you just have to play it by ear and kind of figure out what feels most comfortable to you. And when you play it, what sounds most like the song to you. So if I was coming on this part, coming off the verse, going into the pre-chorus, it would sound like this. Now you'll notice I didn't palm mute, or not palm mute, but I didn't stop the strings at all from ringing in that section like I did in the verse. That's how I would play it. All right, so then we move on to the chorus, and the chorus looks like this. What's happening there is I'm playing the G chord, the 4-finger G, just like I did before. And I usually play it like that. I'll play the bass note, and then I'll strum the chord. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is do this little fill here. I'm going to leave these 2 fingers down here for now, and I'm going to take these guys right here. I'm going to play A, which is the 5th string open, and then B, which is the 5th string 2nd fret, and then C, which is the 5th string 3rd fret. There's my little walk up. Now it's okay if these are ringing out over the top because it's all over a G chord. Now after I do that, I'm going to pluck the 3rd string open of the G chord, and then the 2nd string. So I have... Now, when you're playing these, you might decide you want to downpick everything. Okay. And again, sometimes I'll downpick those. It's not very fast, so it's okay. Sometimes I'll uppick the last one. I would say probably most of the time I would uppick that last one, but... Then what you're going to do is you're going to head over to the 2nd fret of the 5th string, which is B again. And then you're going to go back to the 2nd and 3rd strings, but you're going to invert them. You're going to do the 2nd string first, then the 3rd string. So it looks like this. And then we're going to strum the D chord. And then we're going to go back and do that little middle section again. And then we simply start all over again. So the pattern is G, then that little middle section, A, B, C, 3rd string, 2nd string, B, invert those, go 2nd string first, then strum the D chord, and then you do that again, A, B, C, go to B, and then invert those notes, and then you start all over. So again, let me play it for you up to tempo here. And I'm back on the verse again. Now, again, a realism point here. When you're playing this, if you decide, like when you get to the D chord, if you want to strum some to fill that space out, by all means, go ahead. Like if you did this. Usually I can't sit idle for that long, so I usually don't let chords just ring out. I'll tend to strum them a little more inside there. Again, no particular rhyme or reason in terms of which ones I'm strumming. I'm just strumming to fill space rhythmically. If that is very difficult for you to do, don't worry about it. Just play the outside section of that. Just hit the D, let it ring out, and then go back. Okay, and that's perfectly fine. But if you're like me and you kind of feel like you have the need to strum that a bit more, then go ahead. It's really important to learn how to do that. One of the things, as I've mentioned before, when I try and teach my students how to play, is learning to think about things from a realistic perspective, not just a tablature or a number thing or even necessarily a visual thing. It's learning to play things that the way you hear them, the way you feel them. It's really important because you'll remember them longer, and I think you put more of yourself into it when you do that. So let's keep going here. So we go back to the verse there. We keep going. We come back out to the pre-chorus, which is the back to the chorus. Okay, and keep going with the chorus. Here we go. And that's the part right before the chorus. So what I'm doing is playing a D chord, and then I'm going to a D sus4 by adding my pinky onto the first string, 3rd fret. Okay? So I'm coming off the, just like before, D, sus4, D, and then I'm going to go into the chorus, or excuse me, the solo. Now, underneath the solo is the chorus section again, but it's just more staccato. You stop more. So it's really the same chords. You're playing G, and then the A, B, C, then B, then D, A, B, C. Notice sometimes I don't put my first finger down when I play that C add 9. This is a big thing that Angus Young does too. What he'll do is instead of putting this finger down because he's going to use it right away, he'll just kill the 4th string with the bottom part of his middle finger. Then he does the same thing here. He just kills that 4th string. And he'll even do that on G. When he plays G, he'll take his first finger off and he'll kill that 4th, or the 5th string in this case, so he doesn't have to put this finger down. So that way he's always prepared for the next thing that's coming. So the part underneath the solo, if you played thinking of it like that, I could play this, and then I'm ready to go. See, instead of going and having to drop that underneath there, I could just leave it off and just kill that 4th string. Then B, then D, and then... So that's what's happening underneath the solo, excuse me. So now let's take a look at the actual solo. Now, again, if you've never done soloing before, do the best you can. This isn't going to be a conversation about how to bend and how to vibrato and all those sorts of things. I just want to explain to you how to play the solo. If you have questions about how to do those things, I have other videos you could go to. I have instructional DVDs available and all kinds of different things to teach you about those sorts of specifics. So please understand, I'm not trying to negate all of that. It's just this is an instructional video, so I'm trying to get to everything as soon as possible. But if there are things that you don't understand, contact me or look up some of my other instructional methods to learn how to do some of the techniques. So the solo looks like this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just talk about that briefly, okay? We're going to start on the fifth fret, 3rd string, excuse me. We're going to do a bend right there. And then we're going to play 3-3 by barring over it. And then we're going to go to the 6th fret with our pinky. Then we're going to go back to that bend, and we're going to bend it up and bring it right back down. Okay, so you have... Notice I put a little vibrato on there if you want to. And then I'm going to go to the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. And then here I'm going to go to the 5th fret of the 4th and the 5th strings, which is part of the G chord. Okay, so that whole little phrase sounds like this. Okay, then I've got this lick. 5-3, 5, 5-3, 5-3. And then what I'm going to do is drop down. If you know what the fifth position is of pentatonic, I'm dropping down to that, which is the first fret. Okay, so the two licks together I have my bend, and then right away after I play that third fret, I gotta jump right up to the third fret of the third string with my first finger. Because I'm going from the third fret of the third string to the fifth fret of the fourth string twice. Notice how I put a blues bend in, vibrato, and again another blues bend to end it. And again, if you don't know what blues bends and that sort of thing are, don't worry about it. Just follow along as best you can, rewind it as much as you need to kind of see what I'm doing here. And if something doesn't make sense, then you know that's exactly what it is that you need to practice. Okay? It's really important that you can sing the song in your head. You can sing this solo. Like you've listened to it so many times, you don't have to sing it out loud, of course, but you should know it so well in your head that you're hearing everything that I'm doing. If you don't, it's going to make trying to memorize this whole thing very, very difficult for you. So I come off that last part. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide in to the 7th fret of the 3rd string with my middle finger, and then I'm going to the 6th fret with my first finger on the 2nd string here. Then I'm doing the same thing a whole step higher, so I'm going... And when I slide in, I'm not really sliding in from anywhere in particular, I'm just sliding. Okay, and then I'm playing 9, 8, those two fingers again. Bending. While it's up, I'm going to pick the 10th fret with my pinky. And then I'm going to bring it back down. Okay, so I went... Okay, and then I'm going to pick that 8 one more time. Great little blues lick there. So I'm picking that 8, going to the 11th fret with my 3rd finger, bending it up a little bit, then going to the 10, bending that up with my middle finger, then back to the 8, and then the 9, and then back to the 8. So that lick sounds like this. Okay, and then I come off that, I'm going to go all the way up to the 18th fret, which is an octave of the 6th fret down here, so I'm going, and then I'm doing, okay, so coming off, then I'm going to bar over those just like I did here, going to the pinky just like I did here. Okay, doing the same kind of bend I did here. But then I go to 15, and then I go to 17 with my 3rd finger afterwards. Then I'm going to bar over the 2 7s, 2 15s, 2 17s. See that? So I have bar, then I'm going to go to the 17 again on the 3rd string. I'm going to bend it up. I'm going to bend it up, and then I'm going to put my pinky on the 18th fret of the 2nd string. Okay, and then I'm going to take it back down like this. Okay, so I have... Okay, and then I'm going to go 17s, 15s, 17s, 15s. Okay, so the whole thing up here sounds like this. And then I'm going to go to the 17th fret. 18th fret, excuse me. I'm going to bend it up, bring it back down. Then I'm going to go to the 17th fret. I'm going to pre-bend it. Okay, just a half step. Okay, so I have... Right there I went pre-bend, 15, 17, 17 on this string, so I'm barring again, back to the 15, and then I'm going back to that 18th fret I started with. So I have, okay, does that make sense? So that's the end of it. So I'm coming off, whoops, sorry. There it is. So I'm going 15, 18, 15 on the first string, 18 on the second string, 17 on the third string. You're going to bend it up, bring it back down, go to the 15. Then you're going to do a slide from 17 to 19. And then you end with, so that's all 15s and 17s. I'm going on the second string, 15 to 17, hammer on. Going to the 17 on the first string. And then I'm going to bend that 17 up, back to the 15. Okay? And that's how the solo goes. And I know it's kind of quick, guys. The important thing is that you watch it, you break it down, and you keep building each part as you go. So hopefully, for those of you that requested this song, this helps you out. And for those of you that have not requested a song, please do so by just clicking on the link below. And let me know what you'd like to learn.